fans.
Hello and welcome to Talking Good Game, and it's match week 3 and it's a preview of Watford against West Ham United. One team looking to get off the mark with a points tally, another one looking to turn their total into plural. And Gonzo, let's start with yourself as always. What's your thoughts on Watford, please?
They're bottom of the league, obviously, but that's not really reflective of their capabilities, not reflective of the talent in their squad. Although it has to be said, when you look at the back four that they put out in their last game, it's done particularly inspire an awful lot of confidence. It has to be said. I just wonder about their shape. I wonder about what they're doing. But they've got some good players like Decore in there. Troy Deeney is obviously a good player. And their favourite player that I have is obviously Gerard Deulofeu. So they've got players that can hurt you. Welbeck, I believe they introduced off the bench in their last game as well. So he's coming into it. They've got some good attacking players. They've got Gray as a good forward. I think they're better than bottom of the league. Although I did tip their manager to be the first guy to go this season, to be honest.
Gonzo, can you just turn your webcam off and on again, please? We've got your audio, but your visual disappeared. Tom, what's your thoughts on Watford, please?
Yeah, I mean, as Gonzo said, they're bottom of the league. Haven't scored yet this season, so it's inevitable, isn't it? Come the week on Saturday, they're going to score against us. I think they had a very. Where did they finish last season? They finished.
They finished 11th because we overtook them on the last game of the season.
Yeah, so they obviously dropped off, but yeah, they had a good. And some good news come out on. Troy Deeney's not going to be playing for him, so that's always a good thing because he always seems to turn up against us, doesn't he, Troy Deeney? So they've obviously had a bad start to the season, but I expect them to turn the fortune soon, hopefully after us when they play us on Saturday. Yeah,
I think they've been unfortunate not to have at least 1 point on the board this season. They got slapped by Brighton. I'll ignore that one. But against Everton, I thought it was quite an even game. I thought Everton were perhaps lucky to come out with 3 points in the end, actually. Watford certainly caused them trouble for the second half anyway. Their transfer market was a little bit underwhelming, I have to say. I know they signed, I think Dawson's a really clever signing for any Premier League team, really. But I know they've got Sarr, we're not seeing him yet. But apart from that, Danny Welbeck, I know this is going to come back and haunt me when he starts up front on Saturday and gets his first goal. But players like Welbeck, when you're bringing in players like Welbeck, it's not a good sign for a Premier League club because I don't want to call it desperate, but I would be surprised if there was another Premier League club competing with Watford for his signature, to put it like that. Gonzo, obviously the good news for West Ham is that there's no Troy Deeney. Is that good news?
Well, yeah, because he's a very, very naughty boy, isn't he, for a starters, Troy? But he's effective. He's good. He's a leader. He is. I don't think there are many captains, Gio. Well, there are obviously plenty of captains. There's 20 captains in the Premier League and vice captains, everything. But very few of those captains, I think, are outright leaders. And Deeney is. So Deeney's one of those players that can inspire those around him to bigger and better performances. So that is a big miss for them as well. Just, looking at the chat then as I was trying to get my camera back up and working, it appears that maybe Decore and Pereira might not be ready to feature as well. I mean, if that's the case, those are 3 massive players missing for him. So it might be a bit of smoke and mirrors. Maybe we get the team sheet an hour before and they're all fit and firing. But if you'd hope that we could certainly use that to our advantage. A big miss for Watford, certainly.
Tom, did you get a little bit of a boost when you seen that Troy Deeney's not going to be featuring this weekend?
Yeah, of course. As I said before, he always seems to. Yeah, he's scored. I think he's scored quite a few goals against us. So yeah, he's one of them players, And he's Watford, isn't he? He loves them and all, and he always seems to tell, as I said, against us. And if he's under operation, hasn't he? So he's definitely out. So it's fantastic news if you look at it like that for us.
I know it's only 2 games in this season so far, Tom, but obviously they're bottom. They've not scored a goal yet. Given how well sort of the promoted teams have started, could Watford be in trouble this season?
No, I don't think they'll be in trouble, Gio, to be honest with you. I think they've got Gonzo's mentioned a lot of the players they've got, and I think they've got too much of a good team to go down. But as you mentioned, though, the fact that there was only ones really in for Welbeck, and yeah, I think they'll be mid-table. I think they'll be with us. Maybe they'll be fighting with us for Everton and for like the sort of top seventh spot. So who knows? I think they'll be fine. I think they'll turn the corner. But yeah, it's a disappointing start for them, definitely.
Gonzo, last question on Watford for you both. Same as always, who's a couple of players you admire from that Watford team?
Delafeu, obviously a bit of a scratched record on him, really. Fantastic player. Surprised he's at Watford. Surprised. I just thought he was going to carve out a real career at Barcelona, and if it didn't happen there, I thought he was going to go to a top club. And it's not like whenever I see him play, I look at him and think, that's why he's playing at a lesser club, so to speak. He always looks outstanding whenever I see him. Wonderful player, quick, great control of football, a real threat. And they seem to be playing him less wide than they did, so they seem to be wanting to get him involved more centrally, which I think is a very, very good idea. Decore again is the other one. Surprised to see him remain there. Pretty much exactly what I said for Delafeu, really. But it's a massive scalp for them to keep him there. Pereira as well. I mean, another one really technically good. You don't play for Juventus unless you're useless, unless you're centre half or something. But he's a fantastic player and always a goal threat. So got some really good players there, mate.
Zaza played for Juventus as well, though. Go on, so.
Sorry, I should have said unless you're a centre half or a centre forward.
Yeah, well, we'll speak about our ex-Juventus player later on. But Tom, who do you admire from Watford?
I think I can't really argue what Gonzo said. To me, it's not clear. I think if you had to pick the best of what Gonzo said, I think it's Delafeu. I mean, yeah, I'd like him. I think have they also got Hughes? Is it Hughes that plays them as well? Is he? He seems to be. He seems to be a bit of a good player as well. But no, Delafeu is definitely the pick of the Watford players for me.
Yeah, I mean it's Quina for me. I'm interested to see how well he does. He's at that age now where he's really got to start breaking into that Watford first 11. So this should be his biggest season yet so far, and it'd be interesting to see if he can take that step up. You know, their centre midfield, Decore and Capu are two really good players. I really like Troy Deeney as a captain and a striker. I think he's quite a down to earth Premier League player. This day and age, it can be a bit distant from the crowd, but I think he's quite in tune with what's going on in the stands, if you like. But let's move on to West Ham. We'll start with our team news first of all, which is good. Mark Noble, Sebastian Aller and Anderson are all back in training, and Pellegrini has declared them fit for Saturday. In fact, the only player missing for West Ham this weekend is Winston Reid. So a big squad from Pellegrini to pick from. Lots of big senior players are not even going to make the bench on Saturday. So Pellegrini's got a headache in the first 11, and he's got a headache for picking the bench as well. So there's going to be a few unhappy people. And that's what we're here to discuss. Who should be the unhappy people? But Gonzo, let's start with yourself. Would you like to see any changes to the back four that played against Brighton?
Yeah, I'd like to see Balbuena come back in, and I would also like to see Ben Johnson start at right back.
Interesting call. What about yourself, Tom? You were nodding for the Balbuena. I agree with that as well. Would you bring in Johnson or would you stick with Fredericks?
Difficult one because Johnson done brilliant in pre-season, didn't he? He didn't do anything wrong. But we haven't got a wing yet either, so we need to get a win under our belts. And who plays down the left-hand side for Watford that can sort of is it somewhere
that's where Pereira tends to play.
Yeah, so I'd maybe go a bit more experienced in this one myself. I'll probably Zabala. If he's available, if stick with Fredericks, but I probably would. I'm sorry, Gonzo, I don't agree. I probably would stick with what he's playing with at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with Tom here. I'd be sticking with Fredericks because I think we need a settled back five, and I think we've got that. That's how I would like to see Masuaku, Fredericks, Balbuena, Diop, and Fabianski. I would like Pellegrini to almost commit to using that back five for the next two games, regardless of the result. Play against Watford and play against Norwich, and then we've got the international break. But they need a chance to start playing together. But this is where the big talking points come from, Gonzo. It's first of all it's formation, and second of all it's personnel, because there's probably three players that we'd all agree on that has to start due to form, but the other four spaces or whatever are up for grabs. So how would you like to see the rest of the team set up, Gonzo?
With pace in attack. I'm completely baffled. I've seen these teams popping up on social media the last 3 or 4 days. So many of them don't have any pace in. It's almost like people have forgotten that's how you hurt teams. It's crazy, actually. We've got to so the Anderson and Antonio have both got to start. They absolutely have to. Who you fit in around them is up to you. Rice has got to start because he's the only one that gets a job. So already we're narrowing it down to fewer players. Lanzini has to start because I think he's the best player, as we discussed yesterday, on a cup of tea. So I possibly would bring Noble in there. I might ask Lanzini to drop back a bit and make a 3 in the middle when we don't have the ball. But aside from it, we do have the ball. I'll give him a free rein. But what is going to be imperative is that if Haller is starting, which we hope he will, the quality of the delivery has got to be perfect. It's got to be really good. In fact, it wasn't just defensively that I said about Fredericks. His deliveries always, well, technically he's not good enough. It's as simple as that, really. Both passing and crossing. So we need to put as much quality from our forward players, the wide forward players, as is possible. I know that's not always necessarily Antonio, but Anderson's going to have to be on his game tomorrow with his crossing. No messing around. I want him sort of pinging it over, well, almost like Alexander Arnold does and people like that. Those are the sort of balls I want into the box. Sorry, why do I keep saying tomorrow? I don't know. Saturday.
But you would drop Wiltshire, Gonzo.
If Noble was back, I think I probably would for this one, yeah.
Tom, what about yourself? How would you like to see us line up in midfield and attack?
It's a difficult one, yeah. Yeah, everyone's fit by and Reed, so you've got. You said, Joe, it's a headache for Pellegrini. I think maybe drop Fornells. Because he started, didn't he? Drop Fornells, and I think Anderson's definitely got to go back in. You've got to have Anderson, Lanzini. Do you start Wilshere though? This is the big question. As you guys are sort of got on the point already, it's been a bit off the ball lately, hasn't he? And I think we've missed a bit of leadership really. So the last sort of, especially the last game. So yeah, I think Noble's got to come back in. And yeah, where does he fit? Who do you drop? I'm glad we haven't got to do the decision. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of. I think there's going to be a lot of sort of unrest and sort of jibs and things on Twitter and things before the game once the team news gets announced. But yeah, no, Noble's definitely got to come back in for this one. Missed his leadership. Lanzini, Anderson. Crikey, yeah, it's difficult, Gio. It's difficult.
Yeah, I would give Wiltshire one more game, but I think he needs to start in a midfield 3 with Noble and Rice because I don't think he's had a fair crack yet. The first game, I actually thought he did reasonably well against Man City. He got a lot of criticism, but I thought he was our one player that was able to get the ball from a defensive third and move it into the other half, so to speak, and release it. And City's tactical fouling, which was a big topic of conversation, most of it was aimed at Wiltshire and Lanzini. So he must have been doing something right if he was on the receiving end of all these kicks and stuff. So, but he was saying that he was very poor against Brighton in midfield 3. However, I think that's because Lanzini was in there. And if Noble's not fit to start in the midfield 3, I think I'm going to get stick for this. I would play Snodgrass in there. I think we need a bit of grit in there. Noble will bring it to the team, but if he's not in, I will go for Snodgrass because I thought he played well against Brighton in the second half in centre midfield. But I do think this is last chance saloon for Jack before he does drop out. But I think he needs someone in there that's going to give him a defensive shield other than just Declan Rice. And for me, Antonio has to start on the right. Lanzini has to start on the left for me because he looked good against City. And against Brighton in the second half, he was out on the left causing them problems. So I don't want to see Lanzini compromised by taking him away from the left-hand side. Put him out there and give Watford's right back something to think about. Now, if Kiko Femina has done all right, he's started the season reasonably well, did quite well last season for them as well. Sort of really pushing Janmaat out the team. But I want to test this guy. He's a young player. Let's run at him. And Aller has to start up front. That's the thing. But Gonzo, is there a case... Is this where Pellegrini's got a little bit of trouble in his hand? Because Javier Hernandez started against Brighton, got one chance and scored it. So has he got a case to start?
Yes, but he doesn't have to because he's in the last year of his contract. So we know he wanted to go. We wanted to let him go as well. So it's not like he's in a position to go banging on the manager's door because he's not really the future. He's there seeing out the remainder of his contract. He knows that, we know that, and he's going to have to come off the bench when needed. You can't spend £45 million on a striker and not play him. So, and I don't think he's going to play
I was referring to playing them both, really.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play 4-4-2 though. I would really, if he did, I would think fair play. You know what? Fair play and good on him. And just going back on the Wilshere thing, I don't necessarily think it's any bad thing if Wilshere misses out. Bearing in mind his injury record, it might even be very sensible to start him for 2 games, give him a rest, and then bring him back in. Maybe that is the way they nurse him through. But it is going to be interesting seeing what team he picks. Let's be fair, he sprung a complete surprise on us in the last game with the team selection. If everybody is fit, apart from Winston Reid, then you can expect surprises again. And it's going to be interesting. And the choices he makes are going to dictate, obviously, to state the flaming obvious, dictate whether we win or lose the game or draw it. But I don't think he's been given the conundrum that we might think by Hernandez scoring. If anything, I think he's probably just cemented him being the first person to come off the bench.
Tom, what about yourself? Does Chicharito deserve to start for you?
No, Gonzo's spot on. He's into his last year. I mean, yeah, he wanted to go we wanted him to go, but he's professional. He stayed there. I'm sure if he gets told he's not starting, he'll be happy with that. If he's starting, he's starting. He's one of them guys just to get on with it. You know, he doesn't seem to be a big moaner, but we don't spend £45 million on a player, you know, for him to sit on the bench, unfortunately. So if he's going to go, I can't see a 4-4-2 as Gonzo's already approved to it. So it's got to be Haller. You know, you don't spend that sort of money on the guy to sort of, oh, by the way, yeah, we're going to have a guy in his last year you've got to sit on the bench. It's not going to happen. Haller's fit. He's starting every game over him. Doesn't start.
I don't necessarily want to see Hernandez start. Obviously, I've just given him a team, but I think it's harsh on Hernandez actually. And I think if there's ever a game you can play 4-4-2 and get away with it, it's probably Watford, because Watford also tend to go 4-4-2 as well. So you'd be going toe to toe with them for formation. The key is obviously getting your centre midfield pairing absolutely bang on. But I think Hernandez almost deserves to start because he scored against Brighton. If you drop him, what does that say to him? And I know he's in his last year of his contract, but this is game week 3. It's way too early to be thinking about next season. You worry about that come March, April and May when your season's over, if it is. No, none of that. It's just, if anything, that should inspire him to try and get a new deal at West Ham, because there's been talk this week in the West Ham fan social media, if you like, that Hernandez has actually got an option on his contract to stay another year, and it might actually get triggered and stuff. I think all the motivation's there for him. Saying that, I don't want to see him start either. I just think he deserves to, and this is part of Pellegrini's headache. How do you manage a player that possibly deserves to start, but you don't necessarily want him to? But we'll find out on Saturday. Gonzo, is there slight pressure for Pellegrini West Ham in this game?
Massive pressure, actually. Massive pressure. It's quite clear. This is a banana skin waiting to happen. We could be... it could be a godsend with the players that are rumoured to be missing for Watford. If Tom says that it's an injury that Deeney has, Tom says he's definitely out. He's definitely out. Simple as that. If the others go as well, we have a real chance. But there is massive pressure. The eyes of all the West Ham fans and everybody else will be on Pellegrini. He will be scrutinised for this. Number one, in the formation that he picks. Number two, in the personnel that he chooses to fill that formation. And number three, how we start the game, which can be very, very slow under Pellegrini at the start of games, which would sort of indicate they're not exactly G'd up in that dressing room before they run out for the game. The pressure also comes with the fact that you'd rather not have an away game as a must-win. And there'll be people who say it's not must-win, but if it's not must-win, it is certainly it's almost bordering on a necessity. Norwich have got their towels up. We do not want to be going into the Norwich game having lost having lost or having drawn, going in with 2 points, because Norwich's towels will continue to be up and our confidence will be dented. This is a big test for him. He needs to go there and needs to come away with 3 points. As simple as that.
Tom, what about yourself? Is there any pressure from you personally? Do you think there's pressure on this game?
I mean, Gonzo says it's massive, but I think. Yeah, I agree with the point about the fact that Norwich's towels will be up, and if we lose the game on Saturday, then there is going to be more pressure. But I've seen things about that. We lost the first 4 games last season, didn't we? If I remember rightly, we did, didn't we? So we're inferior a point in front of that. I don't like looking at it like that, but Watford's going to be a tough game for anyone to go to get any sort of result. So I'd be happy with a draw on Saturday, and but I would love the 3 points, obviously. And yeah, you're right. I mean, and then if it doesn't get any sort of, if we get, it depends on the performance as well, Joe. If we get sort of like pants pulled down by Watford on Saturday, then yeah, there's going to be massive pressure going into that Norwich game. But on this game, I think there's a little bit, but I don't think there's as much as what Gonzo said personally. But yeah, a little bit of pressure.
I think there's different types of pressure, and I do think there is a certain type of pressure. I think it's on Pellegrini. I don't think it's necessarily on West Ham. I don't think it's necessarily on more than half the team. But I think there's a little bit starting to come on the manager, just gauging social media a little bit. It's starting to become the question of, hang on, you're one of the highest paid managers in the league. You know, yes, we lost the first 4 games of the last season, but there are circumstances to that, and you know, new manager and all that stuff going on. There's none of that excuses this time round. We've got a fully fit squad, bar one player, which was assembled by Pellegrini. He's had the backing and stuff, and David Sullivan would be perfectly within his right to be sitting up there on Saturday afternoon saying, well, come on then, I've spunked a load of cash on this team, I've spent a lot of money on you, I've handed over my sort of reins on the transfer market a little bit, the control I had, I've given it to your guy, let's see what you got now. So I think there's a type of pressure, but I think it's on Pellegrini. Are you confident for this one, Gonzo?
No. It hangs in the balance. This one, we get a team wrong, we lose. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Let me just ask a different question. Are you confident Pellegrini will get the team right?
No. How can you be? No, you need evidence for that. No, the last team was poor. It was poor. But I think we're perfectly capable of winning this game handsomely as well. But he's got to get it right. If he doesn't, If he played a team, look, we've all got to like the teams that we said. Clearly, there's no point us sitting here and thinking and not believing what we say. I firmly believe that we need pace to break them down. So if he puts out something similar to what I said, and they got the injuries, I think we go there and we smack their bums. Well, I really do. 6 of the best trousers down. No problem at all. I think if he puts a team out, we've got Yarmolenko on the right and Fornals on the left, and a load of donkeys and some. He picks all the slowest players. I think they'll have us for breakfast. So it's with that in mind. I think it's hard to be confident. And do I truly believe that he'll start a good? I don't know. After the last game, I don't know what he'll do.
Interesting. Tom, are you confident for this one? Any more confident than Gonzo?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, you've got to be confident. If you've got a fully. The only thing that worries me though with the nearly fully fit squad, it seemed to be a lot of a few articles this week about his love for Sanchez, and I don't want to gel on it too much, but I don't know what person he sees in Sanchez, and if Sanchez is going to start the game, or he's actually going to take a position of obviously, a midfield player, obviously, which. And then I think if he does that, then I think there will be, because I think one of his biggest sort of gripes of a lot of West Ham supporters is his love for Sanchez. And I'm not saying that but unfortunately I just haven't seen it in his time at West Ham. I know he had a big injury, but I just all the games he has played, I just haven't seen it. Unfortunately, I'm not knocking the guy at all, but I just you're right, Gio. There's definitely pressure on Gio, but I'm confident. Yeah, I think he's going to. I think there's better players than Sanchez, so I think surely he can't start. Yeah, no, I'm confident. Yeah,
I'm confident as well, but it's heavily based on team news. I think Troy Deeney missing for Watford is absolutely massive. It's not just, I think, one of their best players. It's also their leaders, their captain. All you have to do is remember when we were beating them at a London stadium, then Payet started doing tricks, and then Troy Deeney said about how that fired them up. That character's gone out the starting 11. That's something massive. If Troy Deeney didn't play that game, I think we would have won the game. But because we lit a fire in him, it got the whole team going. I think he's huge. I don't think you can underestimate Troy's influence on Watford. I think we've got a fully fit squad bar one player. There is obviously question marks over how fit Mark Noble is. I think Anderson and Aller is a bit different because they had a dead leg. Noble's been out for a month or so. So I'm not confident Noble's fit enough to start, because a couple of days ago it was being talked about that he wasn't fit enough for this weekend. Now all of a sudden he's back in the team, and I don't want to say it's Pellegrini pushing the big red desperate button, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting rushed back a little bit because we need him. But I would also be surprised if he started against Watford. I don't think he'll be fit enough, but I'm confident. For now, but prediction time. Let's get our necks on the line. Tom, can I start with you? Can I get your score prediction for Saturday, please?
Yeah, mate, we're going to win 3-1.
That is confident. Gonzo, I'm fearing your prediction, but may I have your prediction?
Look, I've already mitigated it earlier, so let's assume that he's playing with pace. If he plays with pace, he gets the ball into hand, gets support to him as well. We win 3-0.
I'm going to say 2-1. I'll go for Danny Welbeck who get his account started. But listen, there's 4 teams in the Premier League that you want to play right now: Palace, Newcastle, Watford. Unfortunately, we are the 4th one, but luck's got to change at some point. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us on this period. Tom, thank you for coming on again. It's good to have you back. Drop your comments below, let us know what you think, let us know the lineup you would like to see, and if you are any more confident than Gonzo is, give us your score predictions as well. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe when you're around here, and come back on Saturday straight after the game because we'll have a review for you, hopefully discussing 3 points for West Ham.